Well, hello friends, it is Amanda from Metal Modern Design and Creative Business Challenge coming to you live tonight to show you how to create marbled glass ornaments. These are fantastic sellers for me, both at craft fairs, in the booths. People love to do them in workshops. People love to receive them as gifts. So for whatever purpose you're using these, I think you're going to find really good results. And so let me just show you a few really quickly that I have made this season. I've got everything from reds and reds with greens or reds with golds, just sparkly reds, pinks of all kinds of varieties, reds and blues, pinks and purples, greens, greens and golds. There's all types of varieties that you can create, and honestly, your imagination is the only thing that will hold you back. So some of these look like the ocean. Some are super subtle. You can't really see that. Just showing you a few ideas. What you'll want to do is mix and match and create your own style. These are super fun to do. This is one of my favorites. I love this green one too. Okay. You can do them in the smaller balls or the larger balls. That one's kind of drowned out. All kinds of varieties, friends. This one still needs some inner workings. Okay, and so let's talk about what you need to create these beauties. So the first thing you're gonna need is old clothes and an apron to protect yourself. You can use some nitrile gloves or some vinyl gloves, latex gloves, some type of gloves to protect your hands if you want to. I don't, because I like the dexterity without the gloves. You're gonna need to protect your work surface. I'm using a silicone self-healing mat. You can put down anything that you put down that ink can go through leaves you vulnerable. So make sure you've put down layers or you've put down something that you feel comfortable is not going to leak through to something important. What else are you going to need? You are going to need glass balls. You can get these at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. They come in this size or the larger size. You need those. You need alcohol inks, friends. These come in 3 packs. They've got the colors already pre-set, and so you'll buy them in 3 sets, or you can buy the larger ones as singles. You can get these at Michael's or at Hobby Lobby. You can get them online from Amazon. This is one of the brands I've bought at Amazon that I like. It's called Picasso. These are pretty fairly pigmented. So you're gonna need alcohol inks in an assortment of colors. You're gonna need some type of craft acrylic white paint. I've used a lot of this one. You can get an individual dropper that's empty that you're gonna put some of your acrylic paint in. You're gonna need some water to dilute your paint. You're gonna need some plastic cups. You will need some type of E6000 or other glue. I like to have a spray bottle, and I put 91% isopropyl alcohol with a touch of water in here. And so you've got alcohol and water. This is for your cleanup. And then friends, you're gonna need a handful of dusters. This is canned air. So you can get this sometimes at the Dollar Tree. They don't last very long from the Dollar Tree, but they do work. You can get these from Harbor Freight. You can get these online. You can get these in 4 packs from Walmart. You can get these in a lot of places. It does say do not shake them. Occasionally you'll see me forget because I'm so used to using spray paint that occasionally I'll shake the can and I don't recommend shaking the can, and they don't recommend shaking it either. You'll need multiples because as you're using them, they do have a tendency to freeze, and you'll want to make sure that you protect your hand from that so that you use short, quick bursts and not prolonged bursts, and you don't shake it because that's what's going to create that issue. Something else you might want some glitter. I like to just use silver because it seems to work really well in all bulbs, but you can also go with some gold. Just the ultra fine will work just fine. Ultra fine glitter. And then something else you might need is just a little funnel that I pick up at the Dollar Tree. Okay, I've also got a spray bottle of water here, but just some type of water mechanism, and then your spare cups for doing various things. Sometimes I'll pull out some coffee filters because they're kind of absorbent and they'll help me. Now this is the packaging that a lot of my inks come in. This is by Ranger. And so these came from, I think these came from Michael's. And so it's just those amount of ingredients. It's kind of a lot to start with, you know, so just start small, start with some colors you think that you'll love. And this is very different. And then go from there. These are some of my favorite color combinations. And I'll show you how to achieve some of these looks. Just very different. Okay, friends, so let's start. The first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna grab your glass bulbs and you're going to carefully pull the silver toppers out. I'm gonna set those aside. You can put them in one of your cups if you want to keep track of them. You're just gonna sit your bulbs upright. Now I'm going to tell you this can be quite a process due to dry times and whatnot, so you'll want to give yourself some time. You can speed it up a bit, and so it just depends. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to take your glass bulb, you're going to choose your colors, and for right now we're going to use a couple of my favorite combinations. Let's see, I've got Monsoon, and then I might have to pull a couple more out. And talk to you about a couple of differences and things. Like this is the ultra fine gold glitter. I have just little bins that I keep these in. I've got all kinds of colors because I've been doing these for a while. So you can shake up your inks, but don't shake your dusters. Okay, so one of the types of inks that you can get is pearls, and it does create a pearlescence. Can you see on this one? There is a pearlescence. This one was done using some pearls and also some regular ones. There are others that don't have any pearl in there, and they're more of a matte kind of color or gloss, but it's not pearled. And so the pearls have a shaker in there, and the other ones don't. I encourage getting both kinds because they both create different unique designs. And so I'm just going to start with the color called Monsoon. This one's by Ranger. I'm just going to turn the ornament on this side, and I'm going to just drip some ink down into this ornament. I'm going to kind of let it swirl. This will dry kind of quickly. We're going to grab our spray gun and we're going to spray this air into this ornament. You'll want to make sure that you're holding onto your ornament pretty well. And you'll notice that the direction you spray into the ornament, it moves the ink on the opposite side of the ornament until it's dry. And it dries pretty quickly. And so just like that, that one's pretty dry. Now I'm going to add some additional blue to it. This one is going to be a pearl color, and this one is called Celestial. And I'm going to do the same process. I'm just going to drip a little of this ink down into this bulb. And again, That sometimes happens. Make sure when you get these that they actually have the red straws, because sometimes I've bought them and the red straws are missing. But you'll want to make sure it's really poked in there. And you'll notice that the can starts to get very cold. The more you use it, the more you'll see like a frost will start to form on it. You'll want to put it down and grab another one. You might go through 2 or 3 while you're working on these, just interchanging them back and forth. And so you'll see the difference between the pearl at the top and the clear at the bottom. You can create very interesting stained glass designs that you don't have to add anything additional. You can create a stained glass design that doesn't have to have the white and additional colors added to it. But I like a lot of dimension, so we're going to continue to add to this one particularly. This is a color I really like. It's called Smolder. It's kind of a metallic gray. You'll find that these don't blend very much. They kind of push each other around, the alcohol inks. And so this is what you're kind of working with. Can you kind of see it when I put it up against the white? It's very unique. We might come back and add a touch more blue to this. We'll see what it looks like when it's finished drying. So then we'll set him down and we'll go on to another one. So I showed you 3 of my favorite colors with that one: Monsoon, Smolder, and Celestial. Let's grab, this is one of my favorite greens. It's called Pistachio. Now, when you're doing these for a craft fair or when you're doing these in bulk, I recommend sitting down with a set of ornaments and going through and creating several that are the same, because it'll be quicker for you to batch out that way. The fun is kind of in just creating with different colors back and forth and opening and closing the bottles. But if you're doing them in bulk to sell, it might be better to just sit down with one color and a rack of ornaments and just add the color, and then to go through the colors that way and create, you know, entire sets of coordinating colors. And that's just one tip. I also told you guys I would talk a little bit about how I price these. So I typically price these, and let me tell you, this is completely discretionary. You might be able to charge more where you're at. I usually buy these when they're on sale. What does the regular container cost? So this is 12 for $8.99 at Hobby Lobby, but I always get them 40 or 50% off. So they're about $5 for 12 ornaments. So you know that they cost you less than 50 cents per ornament. I usually charge about $8.50, give or take, for a single ornament. You can also bundle them up in sets of 4 or sets of 6 and sell them that way. You might put a set of 4 for $25 or something like that if you wanted to ensure a certain amount of sales. But you could also go a lot higher. And it just depends on where you're selling. Obviously, if you're selling on Etsy or in a higher end shop, you can charge higher prices. And it's just gonna depend on where you're selling. And so this is just a very subtle, this is called Pistachio. And it's kind of like a nice, minty, vibrant green. We can mix that with, I think I'm gonna mix it with a little bit of the Celestial. Now you guys can set this down and let it dry for a bit and come back to it. Just in the essence of time, I'm just gonna go ahead with our next color. It's pretty dry. You'll notice if it's not dry, and you'll know you wanna wait. And you can see how the alcohol inks push each other. Do you see how it's pushed that color down? And so we're gonna push it around. We're we're going to push that ink around with our canned air. And like I said, you'll want to kind of spray on the opposite side if you're trying to push the ink to a certain area. There's a big blank spot right here that I can see that doesn't have any coloration to it. So we're going to take that deep blue that's called Monsoon, and I'm not going to put it on the side. I'm just going to tilt it and drop that color straight down in where that blank spot is. We're just going to swirl it around a bit. And then we'll add a touch of air. And that certainly covered it. Can you guys see? And so we'll set him down. This red is a beautiful color. It's called Crimson. It's very vibrant. These larger bottles come out pretty quick. And it really doesn't take that much. So you're just going to get it on there and swirl it around. And we're going to go ahead and grab our gun. We're just going to push this color all around this bulb. And you can see that there's a few blank spots here and there. And so then I'm going to grab a color. This one is a green called Botanical. You guys can get all of these. I would look online or I would look at Michael's. Now, where this kind of meets this, it might create a touch of a brown color, because anytime you mix colors that are complementary, it can create a brown or a gray, but I kind of like that on this ornament, and I've got a few that I've done this with, and they're just really pretty. It's the strangest thing. There's still one little spot right there that I can see that does not have any color. And so I'm just going to drip it right down to the side and just swirl it by hand in the area that I see that doesn't have ink. You want to make sure that you push around anything that creates any odd looking lines. This might have some odd-looking lines, but we'll see how that ends up. Okay, and then we've got a whole range of turquoises that I love, and one of them that I love is called Mermaid. It's just a very deep, brilliant turquoise color. We're just going to spray this around a bit. You don't have to go with a second color. You can just leave it just like this, but I typically like to have additional colors. It's kind of the beauty of creating things that are marbled. And so you could go with a deeper turquoise. This one's called Laguna. It's kind of a bit greener. This one is a pearl. It's called Tranquil. Let me put a dot of this on my... It's a bit blue. Can you see that color? It's a very aqua blue color, and it's a pearl. Let's just drop a little bit of it in here and see how it might look with this. And you'll see how it pushes that ink away from itself. It doesn't take very much ink or very much air to coat and or to dry these. Now, if you add a touch too much, you might notice that it will pool. And so you'll want to make sure that if that happens, you'll turn it upside down or right side up. But these fit perfectly in just these little plastic cups, and you can just let them sit there to dry or to drain if needed. I haven't had too much problem yet with adding too much ink, so we really haven't had to worry about that. So you'll let these dry, make sure that they're good and dry. And the next step you can do is you can add a touch of glitter. Or you can save the glitter. Let me think for 2 seconds. I think we're gonna add the white paint first, because once you add glitter, a lot of these do have some glitter and it gives a shimmery touch behind everything. But once you add the glitter, you can no longer spray with the spray can. So we're gonna go ahead and do our white next. What is the white gonna do? Do you see how this is translucent? You can leave these just like this and they'll just look like stained glass. But you can take either your dropper of paint, and all I did was mix acrylic paint and water about 50-50 into a dropper. And I'm just going to put a couple of droppers full down into this ornament. And then all I'm gonna do is take one of my little coffee filters here. You can use a paper towel or whatever you got. You can even use your finger. And you're just gonna shake this paint around. If it's not thick enough, if it's too thick, it might not float around in there very easily. And so sometimes if it's thin enough, you can just swirl it around. Other times you might have to get out your air and press it around. And can you see what it does? It makes your colors so much more vibrant because it gives a solid back. I typically use white. You could use black or gray. I encourage you to experiment with what you think might work. And you can see this one's got, some of it's been sprayed and some of it hasn't. We're gonna add just a touch more paint in there. And when you add the white is when you can really notice that it sprays the opposite direction. So if I want paint to come up on this side, I'm going to spray this way, this direction. We need just a touch more right up here. Even I let it spray for a touch too long. You just want short, quick bursts. There's just one little teeny tiny area that hasn't been coated in white. And that got it. And then we'll just take our little wipe. We'll wipe the rim of this. And look how gorgeous that is. Let me hold it up against Do you see how pretty that is? The more ink you put on the ball, the less white you'll see. So you just have to determine, and as it dries, it may change just a little. You'll have to determine how much white space you want to leave. You're just going to build the color with layers of color. And so this one might have a touch of white space. So we've let this one dry a little bit. We're going to come back and add just a touch more color. And I think we'll add a little smolder to this one. We'll see how it ends up looking. I just don't want as much white space, so we'll just make sure it gets covered. You don't always have to add a different color. You can add more of the same color that you've already been using. For just a touch more, and we'll come over to our red one. This one's got red and green. We're going to go ahead and go with it. There might be a few blank spaces in here. We'll start, and you can see it starts to show up pretty instantly. More in and start to shoot it around. You can tell when these start to get pretty cold. You can see some condensation on the can. The can feels cold to the touch, and the airflow isn't quite as vibrant. And so you just switch to a different one. And immediately you can tell that it's blowing your paint around a whole lot better. Short, quick bursts are better than longer, prolonged bursts, which I sometimes have a tendency to do. Truly want to aim for exactly opposite of where you want that paint to move. And so this is what this ends up looking like. It's very different. It may not be everybody's style, but I've shockingly sold a lot of this style. So we'll just wipe it, set it down. This is our vibrant turquoise one. Now say you don't have a dropper. This was a bottle that had very little paint left in it. I added water to it to thin it out. And so you can just spray straight from your bottle, straight into your container. And it's still gonna be a 50-50 mix. Okay, so one thing I should mention is the spray canisters here can cause a little irritation to your lungs, particularly if you're sensitive. You can use a respirator, probably use a mask, just a mask like what we've been using, and be just fine. Look how pretty this is. It's so pretty in person. I hope you can see that on camera. And then let's come back to this one. I'm going to spray it a couple of good times, make sure it's dry. So you can use it that way. You can just come straight over to your bottle. Just drip it right into your bulb. See how it just starts to swirl that around. such a beautiful, beautiful ornament. Now, you can back these with white paint, black paint, a different colored paint that you might want. You don't have to use paint at all. You can just use glitter. Use glitter and paint, or just glitter, or just paint. You can see on this one the tip kind of sprayed out and it sprayed a little white paint. You can also have that happen if you've got too much ink in there. So you just wipe it clean, and then there you've got something just very different and beautiful. Okay, so we're gonna let those dry for a minute, and I'm gonna grab just a couple of extra bulbs, and I will show you what it looks like if you only use glitter. Go ahead and pull out our silver toppers. Okay, and let's do, let me think about what I might love with some glitter. I've got a really pretty gold. Let's grab some gold. I'm going to do one with an alloy gold. I will pull out, that's aqua. That's mojito green. I don't know if I like that. We've got an espresso. This is mineral that creates a nice color. An espresso. This is usually a decent look. So this one's a brown and it's called espresso. Drip this down in the bottom. Just swirl it from the side. Get some stain in there. Sometimes the darker colors seem to be a bit thinner and they pool a little easier. Just keep that in mind. I cannot wait to see what you guys create. So this is a color I love. It's called Mineral. Let's try this one on this ornament. It's similar to the espresso, but it's a pearl. So we'll compare the two so you can see. So it creates almost like a copper color, and a little goes a long way with this one. And this one's definitely a much deeper brown. So I'm gonna, with this espresso, I'm gonna add a touch of the mineral. They're very similar colors, but one's just a pearl and one is not. I'm gonna dry that up. Kind of odd. And then I'm gonna grab this alloy color called Gilded. It's just a gold. I'm gonna drip a little of this in here. Okay, and so it's very different. What we're gonna do here next is I'm just gonna use one of my cups and I'm just gonna set this here. This is still a touch damp and I'm okay with that. I'm gonna use my my funnel. I can fit it in the hole there. And I think with this one, even though I like to typically use silver glitter, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna use this gold glitter. I'm just gonna put a generous amount of the glitter down in there. And then I'm gonna take my ornament and I'm just gonna give it a good shape. Now sometimes that might be enough of a look that you're done with it. However, if you then come in with your white, you can swirl that all around. Now, if we hit the glitter and we haven't coated it in white, it's going to cause the glitter to shoot out. So definitely angle this away from your face. This one's now starting to freeze, so we'll switch to this one. And then it just creates a really beautiful look that's got a subtle shimmer all throughout. All throughout. So let's take a quick look. I'll put him down. I'm just going to shoot a little bit of air in this one. So this is what it means. Sometimes they pool a touch. This is that mineral. We might add, this lid's not on here. We might add a touch of the smolder, which is more of a gray, green kind of color, kind of down at the base. It's also a pearl. I'll just kind of shoot it around. This is going to turn out. Just a drop of red and see what happens. Kind of thinking it might look like fire. We'll see. Process. There's a little bit of an odd line right there. So I'm going to grab the mineral again and just drip a little bit of it down there to try to combat that line just a little bit. Spray opposite it. We'll leave that to sit for just a little bit. Okay, so after you've added the white, you want to make sure that the white is dry. I still see a little bit of moving white in there. Grab the other can. Sometimes, friends, you have to have 3 cans of air because you just do. Okay, so we're going to set him here. Grab our silver glitter, which is the one that seems to just show things up the best. So does the white paint. It just shows everything up the best. So my secret sauce is silver glitter and white paint. Okay, you can experiment, see what what your favorite ends up being. So we're just gonna shake this around. They don't all have to have glitter. They don't all have to have white paint, and you can just play back and forth and see what you like. So on this one, we had it coated pretty well. So that glitter didn't even make a whole heck of a lot of difference. You can just pound that excess out of there, but the interior is coated with glitter at this point. And it did add just a subtle shimmer. So if you have one, like all these are gonna be pretty well coated and probably not much point in adding the glitter, but let's try this red one and see if a touch of glitter will show up a little better on him. So friends, this is super easy. It does take a little bit to start up with your products, but you can start out with 3 colors, 6 colors, some white acrylic paint, some spray air, and a little bit of glitter, and you're good to go. And they sell for decent money. Okay, so on the inside of this, you can see just a touch of shimmer. But I think for the best shimmer effects, like this one's super dry. You can see he's a little translucent. This is one I shot a few days ago, a couple days ago. So I'm gonna add the glitter to him and just see if that makes a difference. It might just be a touch too wet right now also. Okay, we're just spinning it all around. Okay, so yes, I can already see the glitter so much better. So number one, you can do the dye and you can do the paint first if you want. Let it dry overnight before you shoot the glitter in. Or you can do what I did with this, put the glitter in first and then put in the white. And just experiment with the process that you might like best. So that gave that one a nice shimmery effect. And then we'll come in with now some white paint. We'll be very careful because it does have the glitter in there and it might glitter bomb us a touch. Definitely added a new dimension to this ornament, and so now I really like it a whole lot better. And so it just adds something. So don't be afraid to experiment. Perfect. Now let's come back to this one that we started here, and we will add. I'm gonna add the silver glitter to this one because I added the gold glitter to this one, and there is a subtle shimmer, but I think it would have shimmered a whole lot more had we added silver. I just feel like it shows up better for some reason. It's also easier to find. Just kind of swirling it all around. And dump the excess into a cup, and you can see there's just some shimmery goodness in there. Okay, I'm going to shoot some paint in there. Swirl our paint around, just try to coat that glitter a little before we try to see. You shoot that air in there, it will create a glitter bomb. You might want some eye protection if that's the case. some longer bursts with this one, so this can's getting very particularly cold, so I'll switch to a different can. Just that simple. And so then we've just got this, and this was created with the red and the green together. No, this was the red and the gold. It's just created just a subtle, beautiful little ornament. And so friends, it's just that easy. So let's recap our process. You're gonna start with a glass ornament. You're gonna remove the tab. Remove the whole tab. You're going to get your ink in there. You're going to spray it around. When it's dry, you can add a second color or more of the same color depending on how you want to mix and match colors, and you can just play with colors until you find some combinations that you love. When that's dry, you can add some glitter. And then you're gonna back it with a white acrylic paint it's 50-50 water and acrylic paint. You're gonna swirl that around, you're gonna hit it with some air, and then you're gonna set it down to dry. Okay, what is your next step? After that, what you're gonna do is you're gonna grab up your bulb, you're gonna make sure that it's dry. This one's got just a touch still swirling in there. Some of these do. And so if you look in, like these were done yesterday, I think, or maybe the day before. So if there's still some paint in there, you're just gonna store them upside down like this into a cup where it can drain out, okay? You're just gonna give it the opportunity to drain. So you're just gonna take them and you're just gonna leave them like this for just a little bit. And then once they've drained a touch, you can hit them with some more air, and then they'll be ready for the next step. So these, I am certain, are dry. Just looking just to be sure, but yes. So I shot these a couple days ago. Now what are you gonna do from here? You're gonna grab back out your silver topper. You're gonna grab some E6000 glue. This is my fast drying glue. It's like E6000. I think it's made by E6000. You're just gonna put a touch of it on the rim right there. Why? Well, because friends, if you're selling this stuff in public, people have a tendency to knock things down or to play with things, and sometimes they might get broken or they might fall off their hanger. And so just to prevent that, I always take this little added step. A lot of people don't do this, I do, but I'm just going to grab this over here. Grab the toppers. I can get it squeezed. There we go. And I'm going to adhere it, and it's got just a touch of glue. Some of the excess glue popped out. And that's just gonna glue that down. And then once that dries, it's ready to go. Now, I like to hang these on just one of those little pretty ornate hooks. I sell them with the hook, or if I'm gonna hang them on the tree, like in the shop or whatever, or I can bundle these up into individual little boxes or in individual little displays and just sell them as is. You can tie a little ribbon on there if you want to. You could even come back and stencil or put vinyl on here if you wanted to. And so that part of the creativity is yours. Now, if you, like me, have a little touch of that glue that's squeezed out, the best thing you can do is grab your alcohol that's right there and just hit it. Same thing, if you overshoot your alcohol ink and it gets on the exterior of your balls, the alcohol will clean up the alcohol ink. If you get alcohol on your work surface, alcohol cleans it. If you get it on your hands, like my hands have it on there, I'm just gonna spray them with a touch of alcohol and then it's gonna wipe off so much better, so much better. And so really, friends, it's that simple. My process is different than the process I see a lot of times on Pinterest. A lot of times on Pinterest, I'll see people using sponges and dabbers and dabbing the alcohol ink on the outside. Even if they put the paint on the inside, they'll put the alcohol ink on the outside. I don't like that. It's messy. It can be, I think it can be scratched later. This is a much cleaner process. So you're just gonna use your alcohol inks on the inside. You're gonna dry them with the canned air. You're gonna back it with glitter or white or black paint, whatever amuses you. And then you're gonna be ready to add your toppers back on and get them ready to sell. And again, I sell these for about $8.50 a piece, or sometimes I'll do like a set of 4 for $25 or a set of 4 for $28. Just depends. Sometimes I change it up depending on how they're selling. Like some seasons I might have them selling really hot, and some seasons they might be a touch slower. I've got friends that have done these that have sold thousands of these, and so they are a good seller, and I do have faith that you guys can make some decent money using this exact technique this fall. So I can't wait to see what you create. I'm super excited. I know some of the questions will be, do they have to be sealed? They don't, because all of your work is inside the bulb. So you can scratch all over this and it's all inside. And so you're also, one of the reasons you're also gonna glue that topper down is because you've got some glitter in there, and we're just gonna glue it right there so that none of that can escape. And then you're just gonna have fun creating, playing with color. I typically use a lot of blues and greens. I like the browns and the golds as well. I do a lot of coastal stuff, but I don't just do coastal stuff. I mean, you can see all the pinks. There's so many pretty pinks. Like this would be really cute on a flamingo tree. I love the greens as well, and the reds are really pretty. And so don't be afraid to try different color combinations. Also, don't feel like you have to go out and buy 50 million colors just to get started. You can get started with 3 colors, friends. You really can. And you can build your collection as you go and as you grow. So look, I can't wait to see what you create. You guys all have to post pictures for me so I can see how it's gone for you. And I just want to thank you again for taking the marbled glass tutorial, and I'll see you guys real soon. Bye now.